Today we're going to reassemble and reattach a window regulator on a 1999 to 2003 Dodge Ram van. If you missed our first video on disassembly and removal from the door, you can click on the link above or on the one in the description below. Now we're going to start the two screws that hold the window bracket in place. We're going to leave these two loose for now. Note the way the cables cross for the window motor. Now we're going to turn the whole assembly over and place the 3 bolts in the holes in the door panel, and after that we'll have to remove the lift motor so as to put it on the far side of the panel. Next, put the cable spooling mechanism in the 3 slots on the door panel before flipping the panel over to install the motor on the opposite side. We will also install the 3 nuts on the bolts that came through the panel. While holding the motor with your thumb, replace the 3 screws from the back side of the panel. Now a final tightening of all the nuts and screws that we just installed. Don't over-tighten the screws on the motor as it might crack the plastic. While placing the cable guide on the back of the panel, it was noticed that it was the wrong shape, so we tried to replace it with the original one, but the cable run is different. We did not want to stretch the cable to make it fit in the hole, so we decided to omit it. It's been no problem so far. Note the difference in the two cable runs, old versus new. Yours may be different, so you may be able to use a cable guide. Now we take the panel assembly and install it in the door, sliding it under the electrical cables. The two silver screws at the top of the panel, which were loosened but not removed in part 1, are now slid back into the slots in the door, and the two black screws are reinstalled in the bottom of the panel. We're lowering the regulator down to the cutouts to access the window clamp screws. Now we're lowering the window so the brackets slide over the screws that were left loose on the regulator installation. Slowly lower the window onto the screws once they're aligned. We will tighten the screws to hold the window in place. Notice we left the cardboard in the window slot so the window did not drop down on its own. Testing time. Reinstall the door latch. It slides from the front to the rear of the van. A small T15 screw holds it in place. The front screw is installed later with the door panel bezel. You will need to cut the electrical tape off the motor wire so that it's long enough to fit in its connector and clip onto the door. Yours may or may not come with this. Now we're pushing the cable clips back into the door panel. Note that one of my connectors was empty, so there was no need to reconnect it. The other went to the automatic door lock. The window motor has a locking device on the connector. Don't forget that.
Okay.
Next is the reinstallation of the moisture barrier. First thing is to put it over the manual door lock and then pull the mirror, window, and door lock control wiring through the moisture barrier. Depending on how much sticky is still left on the moisture barrier, some tape might be needed to hold it in place until the door panel is replaced. Make sure all the holes line up for the screws to be put on the door panel. Now you will reconnect the speaker wires and reinstall the speaker using 4 small gray screws using an 8mm nut driver. We will double check the alignment of all the holes, adding a little masking tape to keep everything aligned before installing the door panel. Let's start that. Make sure the mirror is plugged in and that the electrical control plugs for the window and door lock will be accessible after the panel is installed. Put the manual door lock button through the panel. Now place the panel on the window seal groove. Snap the 3 door clips in place on the door. They can be difficult to line up. You'll have to feel around for the alignment. Then insert the 3 of the 4 long Phillips screws into the door panel. The one below the window control bezel is installed later. The door latch bezel is next. The screw goes through the bezel, through the door latch, and into the metal on the door. The door handle bezel is inserted and secured in place using the other short Phillips screw. Sometimes the moisture barrier plastic has to be adjusted to allow the screw to go into the door metal. Now we partially install the connectors to the back of the window and door lock switches for testing. We did this backwards the first time. Then we place the window and door lock control bezel back in position. If you didn't put the 4th screw in the door panel, you are now ready to secure it with the 2 long Phillips screws. Test everything again. I hope these videos were helpful. Thank you for watching and please subscribe. It will help us tremendously to keep making videos.